The point is, you've mentioned Syscoin as a payment, I mean, as a payment coin, right? So the point is, do you see maybe in a 1, 2, maybe 5 years, Syscoin as a store of value like Bitcoin, because we have a maximum supply of 888 millions? Is this accurate, right?
Yep. Well, if we target Syscoin as a store of value and help out the speculators, then what do you think an enterprise is going to do when they say, "Can we use your platform to do 1 million transactions?" Right? They're going to see the price of Syscoin. They're going to say, "It's going to cost us $15 for every 1,000 transaction. That's not that great." Right? It's got to be natural. Like, we can't market ourselves as this is the next Bitcoin. We have to provide value. Providing value or providing utility. Whether that means it will end up causing speculative value on Syscoin itself, it may do that because there's utility, and that begs the question: what adds value to any of these altcoins? We know Bitcoin's value is institutional, speculative, against the central banks, against anti-government stuff, right?
Yeah.
Any other blockchain is not that, though. They have to find value and utility. So how do you assign value to any coin? It's the only way is to assign utility. So you have some use case that you're solving, and the use case means that there's circulation of coins happening. The circulation of coins means there's value and people want to hold this stuff to pay for that. But it also might mean that in the future there'll be more volume, more circulation. Therefore, what I hold now will be worth more. But in the end, our calculations are around serving. If payments were to happen globally, we have to enable that sort of thing. So that means if Syscoin was $10,000, what does that mean for the global payments solution we've created?
Interesting. You spoke as well about the payment and stuff like that. How do you see the acceptance of Syscoin in the near future? I mean, do you guys want to implement it on like integrating with other merchants, with like how it's called Shopify and other marketplaces, or what did you guys plan for the next years?
Yeah, so we've built I've built an SDK in JavaScript, almost like a Web3 layer.
Yeah.
And the goal there is to essentially enable these integrations to happen. The Shopify's, the e-commerce plugins. The other thing is in 4.2, it's we're focusing on wallet integrations now. So we're focusing on where we add convenience to the user. So the user's got to be able to see and spend it. They've got to be able to use ZDEG. They've got to be able to use the compliance solution, all that stuff. So our next focus is we still have a lot of R&D to do on Syscoin, but a lot of the immediate focus is now on the enabling wallets and services and those sort of things. So just like any other coin we can plug in, we just wanted to get the infrastructure right. So if we didn't have the infrastructure right, there was no, there's no need to do any of that service related work because you have to redo it. So that's our immediate focus, and you'll start to see some really good wallets being able to hold Syscoin and transact with assets and new exchange listings and that sort of thing. So we're just finalizing the ability to get our SPTs liquid, and it's a good step because once you have 2 or 3, then you can go to some of the bigger ones and say, go to say Bitfinex or Coinbase and say we have volume and it's legitimate, it's tested, it's trustworthy. Will you integrate us? And if you have the volume, you have the customers, then it just happens naturally, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's a right mentality because the most of the coins and the most of the founders they say, hey, we want to hype that and this and that, and then, but you guys have the right attitude, the right mentality. That's I'm supporting stuff like that, and keep moving forward, man. The next question is, what does the crypto landscape at this point look from an interoperability perspective? Like with the altcoins and stuff like that. How do you see that?
Yeah, so we covered most of that, but basically, there in the Bitcoin community, the interoperability really is limited. But there's some stuff coming out like Taproot and Schnorr and Mast. Those things start to give a little bit more smart contract-like things. So maybe some interoperability plays can come in there. Some new atomic swap models, submarine swaps, better DEXs built on Bitcoin, but Ethereum really is the interesting one for interoperability because it's Turing complete. So because it's generalized computing, that is also its Achilles heel, that it's generalized computing, because you could do anything, therefore the costs go up. And a few of the scaling solutions, interoperability solutions there are optimistic rollups. There's Plasma, which Plasma is pretty much not in favor. There's optimistic rollups, which are generalized computing with data on the blockchain, but execution happening off the blockchain. And then there's a fraud proof to prevent bad stuff from happening. And then there's DK rollups, which allows another kind of network or solution or validators to run all of the computation and provide the smart contract, just the basics. Like, I've sent you some money and this is the amount. No signature even is needed. So maybe like 13 bytes per transaction. And then there's zero knowledge rollups in the Validium model, which means really no data needs to go on the smart contract on layer 1. And you only need a state transition between every batch. Like if you're doing 10-minute batches, every 10 minutes, the batch of transactions, whether that's 1 million or 10 million or 5,000, the state transition of that, just the root hash needs to get updated on the contract. And with Syscoin, we can even take that one step further and say, we don't need to do any of that, but maybe once an hour, we can keep that bridge. We have a bridge, right? So we can enable our bridge to stay active, and then all the calculations can happen on the Syscoin validator layer, the zero knowledge provers, which are just the masternodes. They earn fees by calculating based on the gates, how many gates, and they're taking ROI, and it's self-replicating, right? The more hardware, the more transactions, the more worth it is. Again, the next guy has more hardware, more calculations, the more worth it is. That sort of circular economy becomes possible because you're not using the layer 1 Ethereum blockchain, which is costly. Ethereum itself is transitioning to sharding, and sharding means they're going to have erasure coded data availability on the blockchain itself. So they're able to, right now you can only do 60K kilobytes per second, but the goal is to get it up to 1.5, maybe 10 megabytes per second.
Easy.
And that data availability allows it to become, we still think of it as a court system though, because again, when you're thinking about IoT and smart cities, we're talking about billions of transactions perhaps every minute, right? And those transactions don't belong, like if they get put on to layer 1, it will bog down just like it is today. But if they're on their own layer 2s running zero knowledge proofs for verifiable computation, and maybe even using a solution like Syscoin, because you don't have to actually do state transitions on layer 1, becomes even more efficient if everything happens in Syscoin, as long as it's secure, and you're only using the bridge to go back and forth once you're done. So it's like once every hour, the Syscoin team or someone in the Syscoin ecosystem, an agent, updates the smart contract to keep the Syscoin chain alive in Ethereum, but you're using that as proof to move value back and forth. So the long-winded answer is, there's a lot of solutions like that. I think ours is unique. It's on our roadmap as something that's unique. It may come after 4.2 once we've finalized getting some payment integrations happening. But we may end up just also doing the same thing, the zero knowledge proofs. I always keep going back to zero knowledge proofs because I think it's the next frontier of crypto, is using ZK Starks and ZK snarks. So we can do the same sort of thing with Syscoin. I guess you could think of it as almost like an on-chain Lightning networks, because the same way that ZK Starks, ZK snarks are calculating general purpose computing for EVM, they can also do general purpose computational verifiability for UTXO assets or UTXO money or the Bitcoin stack, right? Instead of EVM, it's just a Bitcoin stack, which is much simpler, therefore probably cheaper and faster to calculate, right? So if you do that sort of idea, we can essentially transition to a better version of a Lightning networks running zero knowledge proofs but without watchtowers, without flood and loot attacks, without, you know, this availability concern where your money gets stolen. So Lightning Networks has always been some target, but the idea of Lightning Networks is what we want. If we provide a mathematical solution so that it's verifiable on chain and there's no watchtowers or nothing like that, it actually makes our, you know, it makes our ecosystem, our payment solution much better, much faster, much cheaper than anything else out there, and we can extend that to smart contracts.
That sounds good. It's like really technical. I mean, the person that are watching us now or maybe later, it's
well,
like
hopefully
really
it makes some sense. But yeah, I mean, like I try to break it down as much as I can for the average person, but it's just a situation we're in. We're all in the roots right now. We're trying to figure out the technical solutions first and then make them really easy for the user. But that's just the situation we're in, right? We're in the ground layer of verifiably computing any type of calculation and zero knowledge. And it's not done yet, but we're working with these people to, once it's done, we can borrow. So there's a couple of things we need to wait for those type of solutions, at least the generalized smart contracts. We need to wait for the BLS signatures, which are part of Ethereum 2.0's roadmap. It was actually supposed to be part of this next release, but they for some reason in a call, they said we're going to do it later. So that BLS signatures is important because our deterministic masternodes use that. Mm-hmm. And in order to prove some of our stuff that we want on the bridge, we probably need that BLS signature calculation or verification of the signatures. And then the other thing is the general purpose smart contract languages. They're not there yet. They're essentially very specific to dexes and limit orders and stop limits, that sort of thing. But they haven't gone back to, you know, and we can work with them to solve that, but we haven't completed a prototype to create general purpose computing using zero knowledge. So, but once you do that, you know, it's off to the races. There's just infinite possibilities.
Nice. I'm really looking forward to see the development of Syscoin, but I'm really trusting you guys because you're doing a great job. The next question is a little bit critical question. And how can Syscoin increase the demand? What do you need? What does Syscoin need in your opinion? I mean, what good investors, good developers, good services, or what's in your mind right now?
I think having the ecosystem, like the air, food, and water for the people to be able to come and join us and develop as an investor, understand the story, the vision a little bit more clear is important, because we've transitioned from all we are is a marketplace, right? We're going to kill Amazon, eBay, to we've realized that that stuff gets built on top. It doesn't get built in the blockchain, but you need an identity layer. So Blockchain Foundry's initiative is to create these scalable identity layers such that these marketplaces can come and build on top, because now you have reputation systems and you have provable viability of who that person was and, you know, what organization they're part of. That stuff gets built on top, and you've changed our vision. So that vision needs to be rippled back up to the investor. And again, like I'm talking from a research perspective, all these things happening, they all have implications on Syscoin, right? Because if we're solving these problems, we want to bring them over to Syscoin. What does that mean? This is really what I'm talking about is not public knowledge. It's new stuff, right? It's new stuff that no one really knows about. Mm-hmm. Probably the first time I'm talking about it, but it's all new cutting edge stuff that's happening today, and letting people know that that's what we're doing, and potentially there's implications for Syscoin, like where it becomes what it's going to be good at, is important. So getting on the same page, and then developers coming in, they need the SDKs, they need to be able to come in and develop, and that's what we've already done with 4.2. Create an SDK, just basic payments for now. Notarization is built in, ZDAG is built in. Basically, like it's like a Bitcoin layer, sending, receiving, but with assets and with compliance and with ZDAG built in, and they can take that and take that to market. You know, just like how Dash went to market with payments, right? They went to Venezuela and said, hyperinflation, don't worry about it. We got this crypto for you and you can accept this real time. We could do that, but even at a higher scale, right? And so we can cheaper, faster, more secure, backed by Bitcoin. And that's the story that you use today. But in the near term, we are going to expand that story pretty quickly with Lightning networks or zero knowledge proofs for scalable payments. Even more scalable than ZDEG. We're talking about if it's thousands, we're talking about hundreds or millions, 10, 100 times logarithmically more scale. And then generalized computing, which is the next thing, right? It's something that is coming on the radar right now under research, but we're waiting for academics to prove it's viable and then implement it.
Okay, sounds interesting, really. And the point is, what do you guys want to achieve this year? Because I mean, we can talk in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but so much things can happen, and you know that. I mean, it's everything. Like this niche is moving so fast. Sometimes it changes from one day to another. But let's talk about this year, right? So what do you guys want to achieve this year, especially this year with Syscoin?
Yeah, my goal is to get the Syscoin assets liquid. So first of all, you need to get them on exchange, get them liquid, DEXs, centralized exchanges, get them going so people can buy and sell them, specifically to our project, our clients. That's one goal. We also want to have wallet experiences improve. So we have our own wallet we built for load pay. We also have the Syscoin wallet coming out through Blockchain Foundry. We also work with 2 other wallet providers that are well known in the industry, and they're integrating. So target is Q1, right? And having the ability to hold and receive, and then hardware wallets are another thing. And as well as much as we talk about this dismay of centralized providers, we think that's important from institutional investment perspective, because there's retail investors and then there's institutional investors. And the reason why you're seeing some coins double when Bitcoin does what it's doing right now is because they have institutional appetite. They have these family offices and hedge funds that say, sure, allocate $5 billion across, $1 billion in Bitcoin and the rest split up amongst the top 50. You need the institutional custodial solutions there. So integrating into something like Prime Wallet, Fireblocks, those type of services that have insurance, that have the custodial service, and have the ability for you to be able to log in and check your balances. It checks all the boxes of a typical investment, stock market investment, where they can do the same thing.
I've heard about Jag. I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you. The point is, I've heard it with Dash. Dash did it with the institutional investors. If I'm not wrong, it's in Canada. It's like a Canadian exchange. It's actually
they're on the TSX or CSC. I believe there's a ticker called Dash. It's actually changed because the regulations happening around Dash and the private send stuff. Which we omitted that feature because we felt it was this complication can occur, and it has occurred. And they've renamed their ticker. I forgot the name of their new ticker, but they're essentially a service that investors pay into it, and they run masternodes, and they return ROI as dividends back to the shareholders. It's I guess a stock play, but when we're talking about native ownership of crypto, a little bit different, because I own the actual crypto rather than I own a stock. The stock company owns crypto, but very, very, very similar. And that sort of thing could happen on Syscoin as well. And maybe someone like that company Dash is rebranding to a different ticker because they want to take stake in other coins like Syscoin Masternodes as well, not just Dash.
That's interesting. So the point is, you see there are huge potential in the next months, in the next years. I mean, if with the institutional, because you see that actually with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, now maybe in the next months or years with Syscoin. How do you see that? Do you see that there's a big chance to go in there for the institutional area?
Yeah. So for that, you need to provide hardware integrations to hardware wallet, Ledger, and Trezor. So we're working on that. Trezor works, but for Ledger, we need to get onto Ledger Live. You got to bug the team over in France, and then and that was still dependent on 4.2, right? Because the model changed, so we have to reintegrate. And then the other part of it is these providers, right? The custodial providers that provide, they use Ledger and Trezor behind the scenes, or they use multi-party computation behind the scenes, but they actually provide insurance for your institutional custody. And so that, for some investors, that's important. So getting on something like that, but also providing the hardware wallets for retail investors that may actually be an institutional investor that wants to hold his own coins himself, is important. So
nice.
That side will open up the doors for institutional. And then we're continuing, Blockchain Foundry and Foundation is continuing to push towards enterprise adoption through payments and secure settlement of value. So that's kind of where our outreach is. And I think our company setup, Blockchain Foundry, is very unique because even consensus is a little bit different for Ethereum. They're pushing, they're more on the research side. They don't really deal with enterprises directly too much to solve their problems. So our outreach is directly to enterprises to solve use cases, but we likely do any of those solutions on Syscoin. We have a for-profit company running in the stock exchange, very similar to like you described Dash, but instead of trying to get people to invest in Sys, we're saying, let's build on Sys and let's bring utility, and we'll solve your bottom line. If your cost to do remittances is $3 per transaction, ours will be 3 cents, and will affect your bottom line. That's really smart, though. That's what we're trying to do.
That's really, really smart. I really admire what you guys are doing. So maybe we should do another interview the next time, because Syscoin is such a huge project with Blockchain Foundry and stuff like that. So maybe, guys, if you have some questions under this video, just type in your question and maybe we will cover it in the next interview, right? So let's move on with the last question, Jag. And are there any partnerships, integrations, listings planned in the next weeks, months, or years? Let us know about that.
Yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of confusion around people asking if Coinbase was going to accept Syscoin. So just going to clear that up, that we were working with the Coinbase engineers to get Syscoin on Rosetta, right? And Rosetta is like a new API similar to Blockbook, similar to some other APIs that do indexing for blockchain. It lets you check balances and stuff. And it's fairly well developed, and it has nice. The code is very good. It's tested, and functional unit tests are really nice. It's got good code coverage. We're working with their engineers to solve some. We've integrated. We identified problems. We've analyzed the problems and created the bug reports and created fixes in some cases for them. So we actually did a lot of work on the Rosetta API to get it to where it is today, to make it more performant. And they appreciate that. And we also have filed obviously a listing request with them. So we're working with them. We're showing value because we've integrated into Rosetta. That was on their request. If you are on Rosetta, you get a higher chance because you're part of the ecosystem. It's easier to verify that your blockchain is secure, right? Because it's part of an API that has all these tests built in. So first step complete. We were on Rosetta. It works. And the second step, we've finalized the listing. Yeah. And the third step is them to basically review, and if they like us, like what we did, we helped out, they understand that. We'll continue to help out, right? Because it's an ecosystem thing. And it's just part of the queue. And so that's just what Coinbase is for people. And the other stuff is we are working on listing agreements for SPTs. So we've kind of held off intentionally until 4.2 was around. So now we're getting close. Yeah. We're integrating exchanges to the SPT protocol to get them liquid. So the first one announcement should be fairly soon. And wallet integrations, we have a couple of wallet integrations in the works, which people appreciate. Really nice wallets with SPT, ZDAG, all that stuff is really nice.
So Spark mobile wallet, right?
Yeah, mobile. One of them is mobile desktop, Chrome extension, all the all the stuff. The other is mobile, and mainly focus mobile. We think mobile is the majority use case, but it's still important to do other stuff like Chrome extensions, stuff like that. So that's another one we're talking to and integrating with. So the integrations are coming up, and we'll have the ability to do that. We're going to finalize the ledger and treasure stuff as soon as 4.2 is out, so we can get the hardware security out there and connect them to these wallets, because nowadays you can use a web wallet to connect to your hardware wallet. It's pretty much the same security layer, security trust model. So you should be able to use your ledger, log into your Chrome extension or web wallet, and sign off on a transaction.
Yeah.
And that's our goal, to get people the basics of holding a crypto, like the top 50 coins are doing, right? Then the research is still ongoing to make things more scalable. Enterprises can appreciate lower and lower fees, but that won't really be a problem until our blocks start getting full. So our research is geared towards, once we get adoption, we'll be ready for the next layer to say, yeah, we'll keep things cheap and secure.
It's really interesting, really nice to hear that from you, Jack. And the point is, your final words. Where can investors find you guys? You guys are on Discord, on Twitter, on YouTube. Yeah. You guys are running the show. Just let them know.
Yeah, again, we're unique that way because we're so passionate. We're always in there. We're always in Discord. I find many other projects that the developers, they have their own Slacks, their own Discords that are gated because they don't want to be, I guess, bothered by the public. But we are right in there, and we're, we have our own blockchain foundry one for our internal projects, but we are all in the public ones, and we're chatting with the community all the time. So, we invite everyone, even if it's not Syscoin related, if it's just crypto, blockchain, anything, we're inviting everyone, and we always, have a good time chatting about the ecosystem.
All right, so you guys, if you want to check Syscoin, you can check it on syscoin.org, right? So, and maybe you can go to masternodes.online, click on Syscoin, and then you see Discord, Twitter, and all the links that are linked in, right? So, Jack, that was pretty much it. It was really informative. I mean, really, really technical, but in my opinion, Syscoin is a coin that you need to have on your watch list for 2021. I will check the development, and I will make some other videos regarding Syscoin, the Syscoin bridge. I mean, there are amazing features, and well, that's pretty much it. It was nice to chat with you, Jack, and we see us really, really soon in the next interview.
Yeah, no, thank you for doing this interview, and I look forward to future ones.
Yeah, likewise. See you soon. Bye bye, guys.